Hi, I'm Josh Elliott.
I'm Luke Deaver.
And today we are going to be reviewing The Shape of Water.
Takes place, is it the 60s?
Yeah.
This guy, Michael Shannon, he's working for the American government, and he finds a fish person, is it Amazon, and he takes him back, and they're trying to figure out what it can be used for to fight the Russians in this top secret laboratory that Sally Hawkins works at as a janitor. And she's mute, and she cannot speak at all. I guess that's what mute means. She pretty much cleans where the fish person is kept, and over time, she kind of develops this romance and love with him.
Should we first talk about the obvious uncomfortable subject that she falls in love with?
Yeah, and she
fish creature.
The fish person.
Yeah.
And there's literally a scene where they talk about the anatomy for a brief second of the fish person's penis. And do you have sex with it? And she's like, yeah, I do.
And she's like, how does it work?
And she does this and then has that and you're like, whoa.
I'm really trying to see this as a love can exist in many forms type of movie. There's a little bit of me that's still viewing this as, oh, this is pro-bestiality.
They blur the line between beast and humanoid too much. There's a couple scenes where it's very clear it's very intelligent and has these feelings and these emotions that someone could fall in love with it. There's a thing where it acts out and it acts like a beast, and then a character's like, it's a wild animal, it can do those things, it's a wild animal. And I'm like, you shouldn't be in love with this wild animal. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it's love, and sometimes other scenes I was like, that's bestiality. It started out to me as almost like a pet. She fed him eggs, and then pretty quickly to me it transferred into a romance, and I was like, okay, I guess that could be someone's reaction to it, but it's still not normal, and I still don't buy it as somebody you could spend the rest of your life with.
It made me uncomfortable at times. If there's anything that saves it, it's Sally Hawkins' performance.
Yeah, that's the number one best thing about this movie. She's so good, and this is her best performance for sure. She doesn't speak, but you know exactly what she's thinking. Set design is also perfect in this movie. There's so much different types of blues and greens and teals.
Just from an artistic perspective, this movie is about as good as you can get.
And the creature effects for the monster are freaking superb.
Okay, what is makeup and what's visual effects?
I don't know, but I know a lot of it is a costume and practical. I know most of the creature effects are costume.
That's really
I know.
cool.
Guillermo del Toro is a freaking master at that. And the score is also really good. It's nominated for 13 Oscars.
It's very old-fashioned. It kind of had almost a French feel to me.
Sally Hawkins lives above a movie theater in the 1960s, and I felt like it had the feel of those movies, these old, almost fairy tale type feels to them. Spoilers, don't watch unless you want to see the movie.
The La La Land scene?
The La La Land scene. There's a scene where she's at dinner table and she's thinking about, it's the day before she has to drop him off. She starts to imagine what would happen, and she's singing and she's talking with him and they're dancing, and it's very La La Land where they're both singing, and it's old-timey movie, black and white. It's really freaking cheesy, but I think it's beautiful. I love that scene.
I thought it was dumb. I thought it contrasted tonally with the rest of the movie. Stylistically it was the same, but tonally it was different, and I didn't like that.
I can see that. As I thought about it more, I liked it because Sally Hawkins' character, in my opinion, she has this out there imagination of oh man, romance, and I think that's why she fell in love with the fish person in the first place.
Also, there are 4 main leads in this movie. All of them have something about them that society would reject. There's a fish creature. Sally Hawkins is mute. Richard Jenkins' character is gay. And Octavia Spencer is black. I mean,
all 4 of them also perfect performances.
Yeah.
They're great.
This is actually my favorite Octavia Spencer performance.
I really like how Octavia Spencer kind of uses Sally Hawkins' character as a way to vent, and you can kind of see that's why they're friends. Because she's just constantly talking to her about everything, and since Sally Hawkins can't talk, she just listens. They have such a great relationship. They have such great chemistry. Octavia Spencer, I want her to be like my grandma. She's such a good actress.
She can just play the best friend character so perfectly.
Michael Shannon did a really good job. We didn't talk about Michael Shannon really. He was also over the top as hell.
He's such a cartoonish villain for me.
Yeah. I think it was what Guillermo del Toro wanted him to be, but he was probably the weakest character.
Every scene he's in, the script just went downhill. It was a very black and white perspective of hero and villain. This movie got nominated for Best Screenplay at the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and I really don't think it deserves
I don't know about that either. But I think Guillermo del Toro should win Best Director. I do want to talk about one subject in this movie that did throw me off a lot. The way sex is portrayed in this movie is really strange to me because almost every sex scene is rather graphic. I felt like that was kind of totally weird for this movie because this movie is supposed to be old-timey romance and super nice, and then sex is not portrayed that way in old movies.
I actually liked that. The 60s kind of had this perfect persona. The topic of that is almost allowing these people to express things that were not talked about in that time period.
My favorite scene actually was a sex scene, though. She closes the door and fills up the bathroom with water. Ooh. I love the way that was shot. I love the music. I love how it was like coming down into the theater below them. That was the scene that I bought their romance the most. Also, there's some gore in this movie that his fingers are rotting off.
And also when he like shoves his finger in the guy's bullet wound.
What's weird is I like this movie more than Phantom Thread, what we just talked about. However, the problems that I have with this movie, I could identify easier than in Phantom Thread. Because Phantom Thread, I was
the
like...
the exact same thing with me. Should we go to final verdict?
Yeah, I'm good.
I had quite a few problems with The Shape of Water. There's a bit of a bestiality undertone that I didn't really like. Michael Shannon as a villain, he goes for the performance, but I think it doesn't work for this movie. The screenplay takes a dip at times. Visually, this may be in the top 5 best movies of last year. The performances are all fantastic. It's not the masterpiece that I think everyone is saying it is. I don't think it deserves 13 Oscar nominations, but I think it's a pretty solid romance movie, so I'll give it a 7.
I just love this movie. I think all the performances deserve the nominations that they got. The direction is perfect. I think the cinematography is perfect. I think the score is amazing. Love the set design. I loved the feelings that it made me feel. I love just so much about this movie. I agree with Josh. There are some pretty glaring problems. The whole bestiality thing threw me off, and I also think that Michael Shannon was pretty cheesy. However, I do think this is one of those movies that people are going to remember. There are some Oscar-nominated movies that win Best Picture, or they'll be nominated for so much you forget about them pretty easily. Like Argo, for example. Like, who talks about Argo anymore? Yeah. This is going to be a movie, no matter what you think of it, that I think you will remember, and I think that a lot of people who love movies will remember. And so for that reason, I think it has a lot of significance, and so I would gonna give it an 8. All 7.5.
Yeah, both 7.5. So what did you think of The Shape of Water if you saw it? Because if you saw it, you probably have quite a bit to say about it. If you comment...
We'll stick a finger in your bullet hole.
Oh, God.
That sounds vaguely sexual.
That sounds way too sexual. Peace out, guys.
Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Click here to subscribe and click here to watch our last video. Thank you so much.